A well-dressed woman sits behind the wheel, engine idling. Naomi Higgins, 33, wears a navy-tailored coat, but her hands tremble as she grips her phone. Her perfectly applied lipstick does nothing to hide the fear in her eyes. Text message flash on screen. Transfer $200,000 in 48 hours, or the world sees what you did. Naomi whispered, I worked my entire life for this career, and someone's ready to destroy everything, unless I marry the one man I vowed never to trust. Naomi's office later that day, she looked out at the city skyline glows through the window behind her. Naomi Higgins paced behind her desk, heels clicking against the hardwood floor. She had just come from a tense meeting with her legal team. No leads, no clues, no time. The edited video flashing across her screen kept playing in her mind like a sick loop. A night she barely remembered now looked like a scandal, and it was gaining traction. Her assistant buzzed in. Someone's here to see you, says it's urgent. Before Naomi could ask who, the door opened. Michael James. He stepped in like he owned the place. Tall, confident, still infuriatingly handsome, in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her rent. She froze, blinking, heart racing for more than just shock. Michael? She breathed, arms crossing instinctively. What the hell are you doing here? Naomi. His voice was low, smooth, familiar. He looked around the office, then back at her. Still sharp as ever. She didn't return the smile. If this is some kind of reunion tour, you can leave now. I know about the video, he said calmly. That stopped her cold. And I know who's behind it. Naomi's throat tightened. How could you possibly know that? He took a step closer. Because she came after me too. She narrowed her eyes. She? Michael nodded. Let me help you. I can make this go away. But I need something in return. Naomi stared at him. You can't be serious. Marry me, he said. Flashback 5 years earlier. Naomi laughs as she walks beside Michael James, 38. Then a rising tech entrepreneur. Both drenched in summer rain outside a late-night diner. They're younger, freer. Michael pulls her under the awning, brushing a raindrop from her cheek. They were in love once. She was the daughter of a community organizer, already blazing a trail through local politics. He was building an empire, apps, AI, ambition. But ambition cost them everything. He missed her award ceremony for a VC pitch. She found texts from a PR agent he swore was just business. Their trust unraveled faster than their schedules allowed for forgiveness. She exhales shakily, eyes glinting with fury. Now, after years apart, Michael James is back, offering a rescue. But with a condition that makes her stomach turn. Back to the present. Marry me. The words echoes in her brain hit her like a punch. She laughed, sharp and bitter. You're unbelievable. After everything, after how we ended, this is your grand idea? Propose a fake marriage to your ex just to clean up your PR? I know about your mess. Michael's expression softened. I get it. I was a fool, Naomi. I let my ego ruin the best thing I ever had. You had every right to walk away. Naomi folded her arms tighter, voice trembling. You didn't just let me walk. You made me feel like I didn't matter. You lied. I'm not that man anymore, he said. And I didn't come here for revenge. I came because someone is playing both of us. And because, he paused, his voice dropping, because I still care. Naomi looked away, her jaw clenched. You're asking me to fake forever, with the one man I still don't trust. Michael nodded. I know, but think about it. We both need this. Just give me 2 weeks. She didn't respond right away, but the silence wasn't a no. Naomi sat curled on her sofa. A glass of wine in hand, her phone face down beside her. The silence was thick, almost suffocating. Outside, the city pulsed with its usual rhythm. But inside her apartment, the world felt too quiet. She hadn't said yes, not to Michael, not to anything. And yet, she couldn't stop thinking about him. his eyes when he said, "Because I still care." What kind of man disappears for 5 years only to reappear with a marriage proposal and a solution to a crisis no one else could solve? The phone buzzed. Message: "You have 24 hours left. Tick-tock, Miss Higgins." Her stomach flipped. She unlocked it quickly. No sender ID again. Same master number. This was the 4th message today. The threats were getting bolder, more specific. They referenced people on her campaign team now. She texted her tech contact for a trace. Again, they came back with nothing. She thought of Michael's words. "Because she came after me too." Was he telling the truth? The next morning in Naomi's office, she tossed her phone onto her desk, her patience frayed. She hadn't slept. Michael was already there, waiting in the lounge outside her office, dressed casually this time. Sleeves rolled, looking more human and less like the image he so carefully curated for the media. She opened her door and waved him in. "Okay," she said coldly, arms crossed. "You have 5 minutes." Michael stood, calm but alert. "You got another message, didn't you?" She frowned. "How would you know that?" "Because the same pattern happened to me before my board ousted me. Anonymous threats, then fake evidence, then a leak, orchestrated to break everything I built." Naomi studied him, uneasy. "So what, now I'm part of your comeback tour?" He shook his head. "No, you're part of someone else's revenge. I'm offering a shield for both of us." Naomi's jaw clenched. "Why marriage?" Michael took a breath. "Because whoever's behind this thrives on leverage. If we're publicly united, the game changes. My security team, my platform, it protects you. The story becomes about us, a power couple. Harder to attack, harder to manipulate." Naomi looked away. Her pulse raced. "I still don't trust you." "Then don't," he said softly. "Trust the situation and protect yourself." 2 days later, Naomi stood next to Michael as flashes went off, reporters shouting questions. The ring on her finger glittered under the lights. Fake smiles, polished appearances. But behind her calm exterior, Naomi's mind was racing. Why now? Why her? And what if Michael was still hiding something? Naomi adjusted the engagement ring on her finger as she smiled for yet another photo op beside Michael. Cameras flashed. Her skin felt tight from the forced expression. She hated how fake this all was. Michael stood close, his hand gently resting on the small of her back, his posture effortless, practiced. Too practiced. He was calm, too calm. Afterward, in the car, Naomi leaned away from him, arms crossed. "You always did love performing," she muttered. Michael turned to her. "Is that what you think this is?" "I think you're way too relaxed for someone who claims they're being blackmailed," she snapped. "You know too much about these threats. How are you always one step ahead?" He didn't answer right away, just stared out the window. That silence said everything. Back in her office, Naomi pulled up archived articles about Michael's company, Vivienne. She began mapping out his downfall, how the media flicked on him, how investors abandoned him after a sudden PR firestorm. There it was again, Vivienne James, publicist, ex-wife, beautiful, calculated. The same woman Naomi found flirty messages from 5 years ago, the final straw in their breakup. Vivienne specialized in narrative control. She destroyed reputations with strategic leaks and half-truths. She was even suspected of orchestrating smear campaigns against rival CEOs. Naomi leaned in, her heart pounding. Vivienne's name showed up in anonymous filings, press tips, shell companies, always close to chaos. A sick feeling settled in Naomi's gut. What if Vivienne had been behind those text messages back then too? And now, why target Naomi? Why now? Naomi sat back, thinking hard. The deeper she dug, the more it looked like Vivienne had been watching her for years. And maybe, just maybe, Michael had known all along. She needed answers, real ones. And she wasn't going to get them by smiling for cameras. Naomi's fingers hovered over the keyboard before she hit enter, uploading a traceable image file to the anonymous digital Dropbox used by the blackmailer. Within minutes, her cybersecurity contact pinged her. Got a hit, partial IP, traced to a property in Tribeca. She didn't wait. An hour later, Naomi stood outside a sleek, gated townhouse. She rang the bell, heart pounding. The door opened smoothly. Vivienne James, draped in silk, diamonds on her wrist, holding a wine glass as if this were a social call, not a confrontation. "Well," she purred, "I expected you sooner." Naomi's jaw tightened. "You're the blackmailer." Vivienne sipped her wine. "Technically, yes. I did design the playbook." She stepped aside. "Come in. Let's not do this on the sidewalk." Naomi hesitated, then entered. "The video, the threats, the marriage. It was all you?" "Oh, darling," Vivienne smirked. "It was genius." The door closed behind them. Michael stood there. He wasn't surprised. Naomi's blood ran cold. Naomi stood frozen in the middle of the room, the soft click of her heels echoing against the marble floor. Her eyes moved between Vivienne, so smug, so smugly satisfied, and Michael, who stood by the fireplace with his hands in his pockets like a man cornered by his own silence. "Start talking," Naomi said, voice sharp. "Now." Michael glanced at Vivienne, then back at Naomi. He looked tired. No mask, no smile. Just guilt swimming behind those blue eyes. "Vivienne wanted revenge," he began, slowly. "She had been planning to take over my company for the last 5 years. Until I found out. After our divorce, she walked away with much less than she expected. She blamed me, blamed the company. She's been quietly undermining everything ever since." Naomi folded her arms tightly. "So what does that have to do with me?" Michael hesitated. "Then, she found my journal." Naomi blinked. "What?" "After you and I broke up, I couldn't let go. I wrote about you, almost every day. About what I lost, the regrets, the way you laughed when you didn't want to, the way you always saw through me." He paused, eyes dropping to the floor. "Vivienne found it. She knew how I felt about you, and used it. Used you to get to me." Naomi stared at him. Breath caught in her throat. "You were just caught in the middle," he continued, voice low. "We both were played. I believed you were only with me for my name, my company, and you thought I was with her." Vivienne let out a soft laugh, leaning against the stair rail like a queen atop her throne. "He always underestimated how far I'd go," she said, swirling the wine in her glass. "Michael wanted to expose me to his board, to the media. Said I'd manipulated stock prices and buried whistleblowers. So I did what I do best, crafted a narrative." She raised her glass toward Naomi. "You were the perfect piece. Smart, respected, believable victim. All I had to do was twist the knife of history between you two." Naomi turned to Michael, her voice trembling. "Did you know?" She took a step closer. "Did you know she was the one sending me those threats?" Michael opened his mouth, closed it. The silence was deafening. Naomi stepped back like he'd struck her. "You didn't tell me. You let me walk into this blind." "Naomi, no." Her voice cracked. She pointed at both of them. "You're no better than her. At least she doesn't pretend to be anything but a snake. But you knew she was dangerous. You knew I was being targeted. And you stood there and let me believe I was safe with you." Michael's eyes pleaded with her. "I didn't know until recently, I swear, but by then." "You kept it to yourself," Naomi snapped, "and let me parade around like your trophy while your ex-wife puppeteered my humiliation. I was just a move in your little war." Vivienne raised her glass one last time. "Every rescue comes with a price, Naomi. You didn't think he'd save you for free, did you?" Naomi turned, her eyes burning. Her heart screamed betrayal. She strode toward the door without another word. Michael moved after her. "Naomi, wait." "Don't." She didn't look back. "Don't follow me." She slammed the door behind her and walked into the cool night air, head spinning, heart breaking, fury pulsing in every step. Betrayed by the man she once loved. Used by the woman he once married. She was done playing their game. Naomi disappeared into the dark, ready to rewrite the story in her own name. Naomi stood stiffly in front of her boss's desk, trying to mask the storm behind her eyes. Her sleepless nights were starting to show, and this impromptu meeting felt like the final straw. Mr. Coleman sat behind his desk, looking uncharacteristically somber. His usual calm was gone, replaced by a heavy frown and tired eyes. "Naomi," he began, "I'm very aware of what's going on." She crossed her arms, bracing herself. "If this is about the blackmail—" "It is," he said, cutting her off gently. "And I need you to take some time off." Her heart sank. "So you don't believe me either?" "That's not it. We support you. I support you. But the optics right now are volatile. We need to give the appearance that we're addressing it. You being out of sight gives us time to get ahead of it." Naomi swallowed hard, anger and humiliation creeping in. "So I disappear while everyone else pretends I don't exist?" Mr. Coleman leaned forward, his tone softening. "Naomi, listen to me. Vivienne James is more dangerous than you realize. This isn't just political. It's corporate. It's personal. And it's war." Naomi's eyes narrowed. "You know her?" He nodded grimly. "Let's just say, my family's crossed paths with her before. She doesn't just destroy reputations, she buries people. And Michael, he's been dealing with her tactics longer than anyone." Naomi scoffed, arms folded tighter. "Don't tell me you're on his side now." "I'm not on sides," Coleman replied. "But I do believe he's trying to fix what he broke. And whether you trust him or not, you need to hear the whole story. He's lied to me too many times." "I know," he said quietly. "And I won't tell you he's perfect. But I will tell you this. He's the one who told me who was behind the cyber attack on my father's company last year." Naomi blinked, surprised. "Vivienne?" He nodded. "She buried us in silence and confusion. Nearly cost us everything." Michael came forward with proof. Emails, wire transfers, the whole web. He risked a lot to make it right. Naomi hesitated, her walls flickering. "I'm not ready to see him," she murmured. "That's fine," Mr. Coleman said. "But when you are, have an open mind. Not for him, for yourself, for clarity. You deserve that much." Naomi didn't answer. She looked out the office window instead, watching as her campaign team moved through the halls, smiling, distracted, unaware of the storm behind her polished exterior. Mr. Coleman leaned back, voice low. "Vivienne wants to isolate you. Michael tried to keep you close to protect you, even if he went about it the wrong way. Don't let her win." Naomi gave a small nod, turning to leave. She wasn't sure if she trusted Michael, but she was starting to realize she couldn't trust anyone else either. The city lights blurred past the car windows as Naomi gripped the steering wheel tighter. Her phone buzzed on the passenger seat, vibrating insistently. She glanced down and saw her neighbor's name flash across the screen. She answered quickly. "Ms. Higgins, sorry to call," the elderly voice said shakily. "But your apartment door was wide open. I didn't want to go in, so I called the police." Naomi's heart dropped. "I'll be there in 5 minutes." When she arrived, the red and blue lights of a squad car lit the building's front steps. A pair of officers were standing by her open door. "Miss Higgins?" one officer asked. Nothing appears stolen or broken, no forced entry. But the place was definitely entered. Naomi stepped inside carefully. Her apartment looked undisturbed. Perfectly placed throw pillows, neatly stacked mail. But something felt off. It wasn't what was missing. It was the message. "We can reach you." She wrapped her coat tighter around her shoulders, just as another car pulled up. Michael stepped out before the engine even shut off, eyes scanning her like a man on the edge. "Are you okay?" "She's not going to force me into her games," Naomi snapped, gesturing toward the open door. Michael shook his head. "Naomi, this isn't a game. Vivienne plans everything. Every message, every move, every manipulation. She's escalating, and she's done playing subtle." "So what?" Naomi challenged. "You want me to hide? To run?" "No," he said, stepping closer. "I want you to be safe. And you're not here, not alone. His voice dropped. I need you to come with me. Move in, for now. She looked at him, hurt and defiant. No. He didn't flinch. You need answers, Naomi. You need protection. I'm not asking you to trust me. But deep down, you know I still care. That's never changed. Naomi stared at him. For a moment she said nothing. Her heart warred with her mind. Then quietly, she walked to her bedroom, pulled out a duffel bag, and began to pack. 15 minutes later, she stood by Michael's car, clutching her bag, the city buzzing quietly behind her. She wasn't surrendering. She was stepping into the lion's den to find the truth herself. Naomi stood just inside Michael's penthouse, arms crossed tightly over her chest. The place was sleek, expansive, but cold, more like a museum than a home. It fit him, polished, controlled, guarded. She watched as he moved to a built-in shelf, retrieved a small black flash drive from a locked drawer, and held it out to her. This, he said, will show you what Vivienne is really capable of. Naomi hesitated, eyeing the flash drive like it might explode in her hand. I've already seen enough. No, Michael said gently. You've seen the surface. This goes deeper. Emails, financial bribes, shell companies, blackmail victims, ruined lives. Some of them didn't survive her. Naomi took it slowly, her fingers brushing against his. The air between them shifted, still charged, but quieter now. Why give this to me? She asked, her voice low. Because you need to know the full truth. Not just about her, about what you've walked into. He paused, eyes searching hers. And because I owe you answers, no more lies. Naomi turned away, the flash drive in her hand, feeling heavier than it should. She walked to the marble island in the kitchen, staring at it, not ready to plug it in. I couldn't sleep last night, she said quietly. I kept hearing her voice. That smirk in every word. She didn't even blink when she said she'd used me like a pawn. Michael stepped closer, but didn't touch her. She doesn't feel remorse, Naomi. She just feels powerful. Naomi swallowed hard. You should have warned me sooner. I know, he said. But I thought I could protect you quietly, keep you out of it. That was my mistake. She finally turned to face him, eyes glassy but sharp. I'm not afraid of Vivienne. You should be, he said quietly. But that's what makes you dangerous to her. She nodded slowly, her decision solidifying. Then let's find out just how deep this goes. Naomi sat on the leather sectional, staring at the laptop screen. The flash drive Michael had given her, still warm from hours of digging. Her face had gone pale. Her eyes, usually so sharp and calculating, now looked distant, troubled. On the screen were case files, anonymous testimonies, and encrypted recordings. Victims with no names, people who had vanished. Unexplained car accidents. Allergic reactions that were too precise to be coincidence. Tampered medication, tampered lives. Naomi exhaled shakily and closed the laptop, barely able to meet Michael's eyes. How did you get all this? She asked, her voice hoarse. Michael leaned against the edge of the kitchen island, arms crossed, face serious. After we broke up, he began slowly. Someone in her family sent it to me. Her aunt raised her after her parents died. Vivienne terrorized them. Emotionally, financially. She used manipulation like a weapon, even back then. Naomi's brows furrowed. Then why the hell did you marry her? Michael sighed, rubbed the back of his neck. Because I heard her talking to herself one night, Naomi, in our house. She said she was going to destroy you, eliminate any connection between us. I knew then, if I didn't do something drastic, she'd come after you. Naomi blinked. So, dating her was your distraction plan? He nodded. It wasn't supposed to go that far, but the deeper I got, the more dangerous she became. I couldn't leave without her retaliating. Marrying her kept her attention focused on me. I thought I could control it. But then she tried to take over my company, gut my board, and rewrite our prenup behind my back. That's when I filed for divorce." Naomi stared at him, stunned. "Why didn't you take this to the police?" "I tried." Michael's tone was heavy. "But there's not enough hard evidence. It's all circumstantial. Anonymous tips, files, recordings. None of it concrete enough to hold up in court. But the FBI's been watching her for over a year. They just can't move until she slips." She looked down at her hands. They were trembling. "Do you think she'll try to hurt me?" Michael didn't hesitate. "Yes." He stepped closer, his voice softer now, aching. "Because she knows I'm still in love with you." Naomi's eyes shot up, meeting his. "She doesn't love me," Michael continued. "She never did. It was always about control, image, winning. She can't stand the idea of anyone, especially you, being more important to me than she is." Naomi's breath caught in her throat. "You should have told me." "I wanted to." His voice cracked slightly. "But I couldn't risk her seeing you as a threat again. I did everything I could to keep you out of her line of fire." She shook her head slowly, still trying to wrap her mind around it all. "And what about us?" she whispered. "Back then. Did you really think I only wanted you for your company?" Michael walked to her, knelt in front of her on the rug. So their eyes were level. "I was stupid, insecure. I let my past and pride cloud the truth. You are the best thing that ever happened to me. And I couldn't see it until it was too late. I let you walk away thinking I'd chosen her over you. I didn't. I chose to keep you alive." Tears brimmed in Naomi's eyes, but she blinked them back. "You can't fix this with apologies, Michael." He nodded slowly. "I know, I don't expect forgiveness. But I had to tell you everything. I had to give you the truth. Because now that she's coming after you again, I won't stay silent." Naomi stood, backing away slowly, her heart torn between anger, grief, and the faintest flicker of something else. "I need time," she said softly, "to process, to decide what I believe and what I don't." Michael didn't stop her. He simply nodded, watching as she moved to the window and looked out over the city, alive, bright, full of shadows. She didn't know what tomorrow held, but tonight, she knew this. Vivienne wouldn't win, and neither would fear. Naomi drove 2 hours out of the city with the windows cracked, just enough to breathe. She kept checking her rearview mirror. Not because she didn't trust Michael, he'd insisted she go alone. But because if Vivienne was following her, she needed to know, she needed to control this. The remote cafe sat at the edge of a quiet, wooded highway. No traffic, no foot patrol. Just one car in the lot, an unmarked black sedan. Inside, a man stood from a corner booth and gave her a warm smile. Early 40s, clean cut, gray-blue eyes that missed nothing. "Agent Braden Colt." "Miss Higgins," he said, shaking her hand. "I've been hoping we'd talk." They sat in a secluded booth, backs to the wall. Braden pulled a tablet from his bag and turned it to face her. Surveillance footage flickered across the screen. Vivienne entering Naomi's apartment days earlier. "She didn't steal anything," he said. "She was there less than 7 minutes. Didn't touch a thing. Left your door wide open." It was psychological, classic intimidation. Naomi folded her arms. "I saw the flash drive. And if what's on there is even half true, it is," Braden confirmed. "But not enough to bring her in, yet." Naomi looked him in the eye, her tone firm. "What if I make myself the target again?" Colt hesitated. "We'd protect you, of course. But that's a dangerous move. It's also the only way to make her slip." She leaned forward, voice low. "I have a plan." 1 day later, at a downtown studio. The bright lights in the studio felt hotter than usual, but Naomi sat poised in front of the camera, eyes locked on the influencer across from her. Thousands would see this interview. Millions, if it went viral. She was counting on it. "So, Naomi," the host asked with a teasing grin, "you and Michael James, back together?" Naomi smiled coyly, then leaned into the mic. Let's just say, what Vivienne stole from me 5 years ago, I'm taking back. The host blinked. You mean? Naomi nodded. Vivienne was the reason Michael and I broke up. She twisted things, played us both. And now? She doesn't get to win. I'm not backing down. Not from love, not from the truth. The camera zoomed in. Naomi's voice grew steelier. I know who she is, what she's done. She can spin whatever story she wants. But I'm writing the ending now. Back in the control booth, Agent Colt watched the live stream from a tablet. His team monitored Vivienne's location and digital traffic. Naomi wasn't just bait. She was the storm coming for Vivienne's empire. And Vivienne wouldn't take this quietly. The influencer studio was buzzing after the interview. Naomi had delivered the final blow with a radiant smile and a casual laugh that burned its way across every major social media platform. I'm heading back to my place tonight, she'd said, lips curled in a smirk. Time to pack up and officially move in with Michael. Looks like I'm stealing him back. It was the perfect headline. The camera cut, but the clip didn't stop circulating. Within an hour, it was viral. And Vivienne James was watching. At first, her expression had been blank, unmoving. But as Naomi's words sank in, and that laugh, that mocking laugh, Vivienne's mask shattered. Her lips curled into a sneer, and she let out a guttural scream. Glass shattered, a crystal vase thrown across the room. Frames smashed, bookshelves toppled. It wasn't about love, it was about power, and Naomi was making a fool of her in front of thousands. In blind rage, Vivienne grabbed her keys and stormed out. It took Naomi 3 hours to return to her apartment. She moved calmly, phone pressed to her ear as she pretended to have a light conversation, eyes scanning carefully. She knew Vivienne might come. She just didn't expect how far gone she'd be. The moment Naomi stepped inside and turned to close the door, Vivienne lunged from behind. You think this is a game? Vivienne shrieked, shoving Naomi violently to the floor. Naomi gasped as her back hit the hardwood. Her phone clattered out of reach. Vivienne straddled her, breathing hard, wild-eyed, rope in hand. I warned you, Naomi. You took everything from me. Now I take it back. She looped the rope quickly, aiming to wrap it around Naomi's neck. Naomi thrashed, kicked, trying to scream, but Vivienne's knee pressed into her chest, her hands shaking with rage and force. I'll end you, like I should have years ago. Suddenly, crash. The front door burst open. FBI, drop it. Agent Colt rushed in with his team. In one swift motion, he tackled Vivienne off Naomi and wrestled the rope from her grip. She screamed and flailed, completely unhinged, biting, clawing until she was cuffed. Naomi sat up slowly, gasping for air, tears rolling down her cheeks. 10 minutes later, Michael burst through the door, his chest heaving, eyes wide with panic. His security team had tracked the entire thing and alerted him immediately. He found Naomi seated on the floor, knees hugged to her chest, still shaking. Naomi, he whispered, falling to his knees beside her. Without thinking, he wrapped his arms around her tightly, pressing her against him, forehead to hers. Don't ever do that again, he choked out. Don't ever scare me like that again. I thought I lost you. I can't. Tears streamed down both their faces as she leaned into him. You didn't lose me, Naomi whispered back, voice hoarse. Not this time. And this time, neither of them would let go. Michael drove Naomi 2 hours south along the coastline to a quiet township where the air smelled like salt and calm. The small cottage he'd arranged was tucked away from traffic and flashing cameras. For the first time in days, Naomi breathed without fear tightening her chest. They walked the shoreline in the early morning, barefoot in the sand, the ocean humming softly beside them. This place is beautiful, Naomi said, eyes scanning the waves. I needed this. Michael glanced at her, his expression quiet, humbled. So did I. Over the next 2 days, they talked, honestly, about the years lost, the silence, the broken trust. They didn't argue, they just released. One evening, Naomi sat with a blanket wrapped around her shoulders, staring at the fading sun. I'm not sure how long it'll take for me to trust you again, she said quietly. Even if I know now that you were protecting me, you should have told me the truth. Maybe we wouldn't have lost 5 years. Michael nodded, his voice heavy. You're right. I thought I was doing the right thing, but I was wrong. If all I can have now is your friendship, I'll take it. Just be in my life. Naomi didn't answer right away. She just looked out at the water. 2 days later, they returned to the city, changed but not yet defined. The mess Vivienne left behind still needed to be faced, but this time, Naomi wasn't alone, and she wasn't afraid. Vivienne James was finally behind bars. Her arrest was only the beginning. Over the following weeks, more victims, men and women, came forward. They brought receipts, recordings, journal entries, and sworn affidavits. Each one added to the portrait of a woman who had built her life on manipulation, intimidation, and ruin. The media called her the queen of psychological warfare, but Naomi and Michael knew better. She was a master of fear, until she met someone who refused to live in it. With her bail denied and her empire crumbling, Vivienne was forced to face the consequences of the very power she had once wielded so easily. And for the first time in a long time, Naomi could breathe. But healing didn't come overnight. Naomi never returned to her apartment. The memory of that night, the sudden violence, the feel of the rope tightening in Vivienne's hands, the breath ripped from her chest, haunted every corner of that space. No amount of therapy or security could wash away the terror she'd felt in her own home. So when Michael offered her a place to stay, she said yes, but with conditions. She needed space, she needed time, and most importantly, she needed the truth. Michael gave her all of it. He cleared out the guest wing of his penthouse, left her favorite tea in the kitchen, and never once crossed a line. They coexisted like strangers at first. Quiet mornings, separate meals, polite small talk. But beneath it all was a shared understanding. They were no longer who they used to be. The wounds of the past weren't just emotional, they were structural. And if they were going to try again, even as friends, they needed to start from the foundation. So they went to therapy, together. Week after week they sat on a worn leather couch in a therapist's office in Lower Manhattan and unearthed years of pain. Michael confessed his fears. How he'd loved Naomi so much, he thought keeping secrets was the only way to protect her. Naomi admitted her own guilt. How walking away had felt like safety, but also like losing a piece of herself. There were tears, tension, even arguments. But through it all, there was also laughter. Rediscovery. Glimpses of the people they had once been and the people they were becoming. A year later, Naomi stood barefoot on the balcony of the coastal cottage where Michael had first brought her after Vivienne's arrest. The sea breeze danced through her curls, and the morning sun kissed her skin. Michael stepped out beside her, holding 2 mugs of coffee. He handed her one. So, he said with a grin, hypothetically, if I asked you on a date again, this time with no lies, no threats, and no ex-wife watching from the shadows, what would you say? Naomi sipped her coffee, giving him a sideways glance. Depends. Do I have to pay for dinner? He chuckled. Absolutely not. She smiled, soft and genuine. Then yes, I'll go on that date. And just like that, they began again. No labels, no expectations, just the slow, quiet unfolding of something real. They dated slowly, intentionally. They went to museums, took long walks through the city, cooked dinner together. There were awkward moments, beautiful ones, even hesitant kisses under street lamps when the nights were quiet enough to make space for possibility. Michael never pushed, Naomi never ran, and together they healed. 2 years after Michael returned to her life, he proposed, not in a grand ballroom or on the cover of a magazine, but on the beach outside the very cottage where they'd started over. It was just the two of them. A blanket, a bottle of wine, and the ocean humming in the distance. He got down on one knee with shaking hands and a ring tucked inside a simple black velvet box. I don't want perfection, he said. I want honesty, growth, laughter, a future with you, however it looks. Naomi said yes, with tears in her eyes. Their wedding was small, intimate, held in a garden surrounded by friends who had walked through fire with them. Mr. Coleman gave a heartfelt toast. Agent Braden Colt, now a trusted friend, sat near the back, smiling like a proud brother. There were no headlines, no cameras, just love. For their honeymoon, they vanished to a private island. No phones, no media, no past. Just long walks, shared journals, sea-kissed skin, and rediscovering the joy of being unbothered. But when they returned, they didn't simply resume their old lives. They created a new purpose. Together, they launched the Higgins James Foundation, a non-profit dedicated to supporting families affected by grief, abuse, manipulation, and the loss of loved ones due to emotional violence. It offered legal resources, trauma counseling, safe housing, and scholarships for survivors. It was born from Naomi's pain, fueled by Michael's guilt, and driven by their shared desire to give others the second chance they had been blessed with. Their story wasn't perfect. It was complicated, scarred, but honest. And in the end, that was all they needed. Because true love isn't about what survives untouched. It's about what's rebuilt. Together. The end. Thanks for listening to Green Tea Tales. Help our channel to grow with like, share, and subscribe.